Hey guys, it's Demi from Demi's Divine Designs, and today we're going to be making a bag that is going to be perfect for summer. I did not use an actual pattern for this one, I kind of just made it up as I went through. So I'm going to be giving you the measurements as I go through with it. But this is a mesh bottom beach bag that has 6 exterior pockets and doesn't use any bag hardware. So it's going to be cheap to make, quick to make. Who doesn't love that? Here's what the bag looks like. She big. It's a big one. So you have the whole mesh bottom, all down here, all meshy. You got 6 pockets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All mesh, no bag hardware. It's going to come together so quickly. So we're just going to hop right into it. It is perfect for beach days. Let's get going. Material for this bag is really simple. You're going to need a yard of vinyl. I got this from Wonderground Fabrics, I believe. Great vinyl, love it. You're going to need some type of water resistant lining material, and for this you're going to need about a half yard. I got this from Walmart, and it's waterproof canvas. Water resistant, waterproof, I can never tell the difference. One of those. You're going to need a quarter yard of that. The main part of the bag is you're going to need some fabric mesh. I'm using the Lightweight by Annie's mesh, and I got a bag of this, which is 18 inches by 54 inches. I got this from my local sewing shop. I believe you can also get it from their website and other places. Just, you're going to need that much of this. And I did have some extra, so you could probably go smaller than the 54 inches. But just keep in mind, this is the main part of your bag. So you're going to need the most of this. We're also going to need 3 yards of webbing. I'm using 1-inch webbing, and I got this from Zipper Valley. Other items that you're going to need for the bag are pretty straightforward. You're going to need a ton of clips. Clips are incredibly important for this bag. Make sure you have a lot of those. I'm going to be using Tex 45 weight thread. I'm using Fairy Floss from Wizardry Stitchery. I love this thread. It's so pretty. So I do this one in my top and in my bobbin as well. My machine can handle it. Based on your machine, you do what works. You're going to need some double-sided tape. This is optional. You can easily do this entire project without the double-sided tape. I just like it. I find ways to use it. I use it. I have my tag. I got this from Heartwood and Hide. I'll have them linked below. You're going to need a lighter to melt down any threads or anything that you might need to melt. Marking utensil. I'm only using chalk. I don't really need any other marking utensil, but depending on your preferences, use the marking utensil you like. Small rulers. I have one for light fabrics and one for dark fabrics. I got these from Okla Roots. She has awesome stuff. I love her. Then I have my seam ripper and stiletto combo. I don't know when I'm going to use it. I always tend to need it, so it's always good to have. Now we're going to jump into the pattern pieces. From the vinyl, you're going to need 2 separate cuts. You're going to need 2 of your top main panel, which I cut at 6 inches by 20 inches. And then I cut 5 binding cuts, 20 inches by 1 3/4 of an inch. This we're going to use for the exterior pockets and to bind the interior seams. You can also do French seaming for the inside, so you won't even need to bind the inside seams. You do what works with you. Made this on the fly, so if you know a better way to do it that way. For your lining top material, I did this at 20 inches by 7 inches, and you need 2 cuts of those. Then for your mesh pieces, you're going to need 2 of your main body cuts that I have at 11.5 by 20, and then your 2 exterior pocket pieces that I have at 20 by 6.5. And now we get to make the bag. All right, so starting out with the bag, take one of your exterior pocket pieces and one of your bindings. And what we're going to do is we're just going to bind the top edge of our pocket piece, folding the binding in half. Now, you can make this binding smaller if you would like. You can even double fold the binding if that's something that you would like to do. Since I am using a vinyl, I don't see it necessary to do a double fold. So single fold works fine. The edges are not going to fray. So I'm just creating a crease down the center, giving me a spot to kind of nest my mesh in. Once you have that prepped, take your mesh and just slide that up to that crease, fold your binding over, and clip into place. Doing that all the way across the binding piece. Now mesh does like to move around and like stretch and distort. Try your hardest to keep it the correct size. Okay. Once you have that set, it should look like this, where your mesh goes to both edges of your binding and you have the mesh tucked all the way up to that fold up at the top. We are going to repeat that process for the second pocket. Slide that over. Second mesh, second binding, same process. All right, and then you should have your second one done like this as well. To make that step go easier, you could go through and do double-sided tape along the edge and use that to sandwich it. It might help. I didn't see a need for it on my other bag, so I didn't do it on this one. Now we're going to head over to the sewing machine and we are going to do a stitch right along where the raw edge cases the mesh. So right along this bottom at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then I'm going to do another 1/8 inch stitch right along the top folded edge. To the sewing machine we go. Once you have that done, your exterior pocket should look like this, where you have your mesh all down with your 3 raw sides and then your top edge with this beautiful vinyl accent. And this vinyl, I gotta tell you, is crisp and looks so good on this. This bag's gonna look adorable. So for now, put these to the side and grab your top exterior piece and your top lining piece. With one of your exterior tops and lining tops, take them, if you have a directional print, make sure you line up the top of your exterior and the top of your lining. Since I don't have an exterior, that's not a problem. For my last one, I did. So just make sure you're lining the tops up with both. So take those, lay those right sides together. If you have a directional print, this section should be the top of your fabric going this way, like the direction going downward. And we're going to clip right along this top edge. All right, perfect. Once you have that clipped, we're going to head back over to the sewing machine and we are going to stitch along this clipped edge at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Once you have that stitched right along the top, I did get some shifting, which is fine. I'll just trim it down later. But what we're going to do now is we're going to flip these wrong sides together, having the seam go toward the back, rolling so we have more of the exterior showing and none of the lining showing. And we can clip that into place. All right, once you have that set, we're going to head over to the sewing machine and we're going to top stitch an 1/8 of an inch along that folded edge, making sure that our lining stays toward the back and that our exterior is the only thing that we see from the front. Once you have that set, it's going to look like this, where your top edge is stitched down. Your bottom's going to have a significant amount of extra. That's good. That's what we want. And your back is going to have your your lining. From the front, you cannot see your lining. Beautiful. We're going to repeat that process with the second top panel. First one, lining. Whichever way your direction is, make sure like this is going to be your top edge. Your direction should be going this way, top, bottom, top, top, together. Clip along this edge. Once you have that clipped, we're going to head over to the sewing machine and stitch along this edge at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Once that area is stitched, we're going to flip our lining and our exterior wrong sides together, making sure that our lining is not peeking through on the exterior. So we're going to flip that seam down. Like so. And when clipping this down, you want to clip it so you cannot see any of the lining from the exterior side. So it might be easier to clip it from that side. Pulling down at your lining. Okay, once you have that clipped how you like it, where you cannot see any of the lining peeking through at the top, go through and top stitch along that folded edge at a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Perfect. Once you have that set, both of your top pieces will be prepped, and there should be a good amount of extra on the bottom of your lining. Pick one of these to be your front. I like this one, so move the other one over to the side. For your front, fold and find your center. Now you can do this by just measuring and marking, or I'm just going to fold, create a crease, and use that as my center mark. And once I have that, I am going to do my placement for my tag now. So I'm going to take my center mark and I'm going to measure down 2 inches, lining up with my crease. Then taking my tag and some double-sided tape, just gonna tape on there like that. And line the top of my tag up with that 2 mark line, keeping everything centered. There are also jigs for this. I believe Heartwood and Hide does have jigs for these to help you with placement, to help line everything up. So there is that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm only going to stitch through the exterior portion. So I'm going to fold the lining out of my way and I'm going to stitch this guy into place just using an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, just going around the exterior of the tag, well, the outside of the tag. All right, once you have your label stitched on, we are good to start constructing the front and the back of the bag. So grab one of your top pieces, grab one of your mesh bottoms, and some double-sided tape. What we're going to do is we're going to open this up and tape along the bottom side of your top section. So like, here's the seam, flip, tape go here. Just right along the edge. And this is going to help hold the mesh into place and help hold your lining when we do the fold over. So peel off your paper, take your mesh. There is no right or wrong side of mesh, so it doesn't matter. But you're going to take your mesh and we're going to line it, sticking it in about a 1/2 of an inch. Again, does not have to be accurate, just get it in there. Now mesh does like to distort, so you may have to like finagle with it to get everything to lay flat. Or you may just need to have some hanging off. Whatever you need to do, do it. There we go. Once you get your mesh down, then you're going to take your lining, lay that, and fold it under. So let's do it this way so you can see it. Take your raw edge of your bottom, fold that, and line up your fold with your raw edge of your vinyl and smoosh that onto the double-sided tape. Now you could do this by like ironing it into place. If you're using a fabric that can be ironed, you can go through and just clip it. You could just fold it and hold for dear life. There is no right or wrong answer. Just get it into place. And do that along the whole bottom. Now I like to tug at it from the top just to make sure that my fold isn't going to create like any baggy sections. And then I'm going to be finagling with this when it's at the machine, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And this is the lining, so at the end of the day, nobody's really going to pay much attention to it. The whole thing is you just want to encase that raw edge just to make this look nice and pretty. Okay. Then once you have that how you would like, we're going to head over to the sewing machine, and I'm actually going to do this with the lining side up, and I'm going to stitch 1/8 of an inch right along that bottom fold that we made. Once that is done, your top will be attached to your mesh bottom. See, like, it's not going nowhere. And on the back end, your lining should cover up your wrong side of your exterior. Now we're going to repeat the process for the back. Grab your back top, your back bottom, open and turn, and then put your double-sided tape along the unsewn edge. Peel off your tape, take your mesh, and put that right along your bottom, bringing it up 1/2 of an inch. Smush into place. Oh, that one went on much nicer. Then take your lining. I'm going to turn this just because it's easier for me to see this way. And fold your raw edge under, lining it up with the raw edge of your vinyl on the outside, giving it a tug if you need to, just so you don't have any baggy linings. Then once you have that how you would like it, we're going to take that over to the sewing machine, and we're going to 1/8 inch stitch right along the bottom. I like to do it with the lining facing up so I can see my raw edge of my vinyl in case I need to adjust my fold as I'm stitching. All right, perfect. Once you have that set, both of your main panels are constructed. Now we're going to put our pocket pieces on. So take one of your panels, lay that right side up, and then take one of your pocket pieces, pick a side because there is no right or wrong side, and line that up along the bottom of your panel. And then we are going to clip into place going along the 3 sides. Once we have those 3 edges clipped, we're going to head over to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch down on those clipped edges at a 3/8 seam allowance, making sure you're catching both layers of the mesh. This part is where it starts becoming a little more difficult. Once you know how to work with mesh, this goes by really quick. Okay, perfect. That is all stitched. I do have to say that this mesh was a lot easier to work with than the mesh I used previously. I just used like basic cotton mesh for my first bag. This one is more like a plasticky mesh from By Annie, and it stitches together much easier. It glides on my machine so much better. Highly recommend. All right, so now we're going to repeat this process for the second panel. Grab your main panel and grab your pocket piece. Pick one to be your front and line along the 3 raw edges at the bottom and clip into place. Okay, once you have that clipped, we're going to repeat the same process where we're going to stitch along these 3 clipped edges at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Once you have your pockets attached on both, we now get to work on adding the strap. So take your 3 yards of webbing, and to get my measurement, I just cut my webbing in half. So I'll take my 3 yards, fold it in half, and snip away on the fold. Like so. And when cutting webbing, make sure that you melt down these edges so they do not fray over time. All right, perfect. Once you have that set, take one of your webbing pieces throw the other one to the side for now. To attach the strap, I'm going to take my big boy ruler and I'm going to measure 4.5 inches over from the raw edge. So line that raw edge of your vinyl and raw edge of your mesh. Yes. Then take your strap, line that right along your ruler. And you can use double-sided tape if you would like to hold this into place. Just know that your double-sided tape is going to go through the mesh, so keep that in mind. Since I didn't like how that looked on my other one, I am just going to clip into place, clipping 2 clips along the bottom, making sure I'm clipping the webbing to the mesh as well, and 2 clips along the top, like so. Like that. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm going to take 4.5 inches, raw edge to raw edge, keep my strap straight as I bring this around. And same thing, I'm going to clip that into place. Oh, my ruler moved. Okay. Clip that into place with 2 clips along the bottom and 2 clips along the top, making sure my ruler stops moving. Clip. Once we have that set, we are going to mark a 2-inch line down, showing us where to stop sewing. So I'm going to grab my little ruler and I'm just going to measure 2 inches down from my top folded edge. And I'm just going to draw a little line and take that all the way across my webbing, showing me where to stop stitching. Same on the other side. And then next, we're going to head over to the sewing machine and we are going to start at the bottom, stitch up, go across this 2-inch line, go back down. Same on the other one. We're going to start at the bottom, go up, across that 2-inch line, and back down, going at about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Once you have that stitched down, your handles are going to be all set. You can take these top clips off. They're not needed anymore. And then you'll see you have the handle completely attached all the way down, and you now have 3 pockets on your front panel. Now we're going to repeat this process for the back panel. So grabbing your back panel, your second strap, ruler, and some clips, let's repeat the process. We're going to measure in 4.5 inches, line up our webbing with the ruler, and clip that into place, bottom and top. Then same on the other side, 4.5. Keep your webbing nice and straight, loop that around. Make sure your ruler doesn't move. Mine likes to. And clip that side into place and keep. Then measure 2 inches down, mark the line, showing us where to stop sewing. Same on the other side. 2 inches down, whoop-pow, like so. Then once you have this prepped, we're going to stitch this down the same way we did for the other side. Start at the bottom of one, come up, go across, go down, come up, go across, then down at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. All right, perfect. Once we have that set, our strap will be set onto our back panel as well as creating our back 3 pockets. And now we are good to attach the 2 panels. So take your back panel and leave that right side up. Then take your front panel, lay that right side down. And now we're just going to clip this in place along the 3 raw edges I like to start by lining things up. So at the bottom, we're going to start by lining up the webbing. Those should be the same measurement across. So lining those up, we'll keep that even. Same on this side. Then I'll line up the bindings for my pockets. Clip that into place. Same on the other side. And then same with my top panels. I will line those up as well and clip those into place. And then once that's done, I'm just going to line up the top and then just clip along the rest of the way. All right, once we have that all clipped, clipping these 3 raw edges, we're going to head over to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch this at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, connecting both the front and the back panels together. Okay, technically your bag is done if you want to stop here. If you used fabric that could be left raw, you could be done. Since I didn't for my canvas, I'm going to bind my edges. So we are going to start with the side edges. Take piece of your binding and fold it in half. We're going to do like the same process that we did for creating the binding for the pockets. Just fold in half and then stick your binding inside, well, over the edge and clip into place. There's going to be some overhang on the sides, which that's fine. If you want to, for the edge, you could create a fold here, which I might do. Let's see if I like how that looks. Scissors, let me cut about inch. Fold down so it's level. Then see, yeah, I don't like that. Unless I go like this, let's see. Might not like that either. We shall see. I actually do like that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clip all the way up and then I will do the top. Okay. Like that. So I folded up this top edge. I cut it in kind of like a triangle. And then I went through and just folded that under. So it created a more rounded edge. I like how that looks. And then this I'm just going to trim because it's going to get covered with the bottom binding. You could do that all in one. I just don't think it's necessary, so I'm not going to. Then you're going to grab your second piece of binding and do the same thing on this side. Okay. Now, is this the correct way to do bag binding? Probably not. Does it work? Yes. So now we are going to head over to the sewing machine and we are just going to stitch right along that folded edge, closing up this binding, securing our raw edges. Perfect. Once that's done, you will have both of your sides bound, and now we're going to do the bottom. Same process that we've been doing. We're just going to fold the binding in half just to give us a crease, then stick our edge in the crease and clip into place. Like so. Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to head over to the seam allowance and stitch right along the raw edge of the binding, securing our raw edge of the bag in the binding. And the bag is finished. We are good to turn her right side out and check her out. And our beach bag is finished. I did make this bag slightly smaller than my first bag just because I didn't have enough mesh to do it the 24 inches wide that I did for the other one and still have room for the pockets. So let's check this out and see if dropping it down 4 inches really made that big of a difference. Oversized beach towel, check. Fits in there good. Stay. Different types of sunscreen. Let's check this way. Yep. This one. Oh, actually, I kind of like that tighter. I think that goes good. Since I have it here, let's check my Starbucks cup. Oh my god, Starbucks fits too. Oh, yes. Look at how cute she is. And there's still a good amount of room on the inside of that if you want to grab like beach toys or anything like that. Ooh, she came out. Lovely. Yes. Okay. So, overall, I do think that this is a very quick pattern to make. It is perfect for summer, and you can adjust this any way you want. So my first bag was 24 inches wide, where it is quite a bit wider. Like if I stick it behind, it's quite a bit bigger over there. That went well. So that was bigger. This one's smaller, but still is perfect for all of our stuff. It has that oversized beach towel. I could fit more stuff on the top of that one. It looks good. All of the raw edges are hidden. The binding, that's one of those, it's not necessary, but it is cool. It does make it look much cuter. And also you have those pockets on the back that you can use too. So very functional. I do think that this is more of like a confident beginner intermediate pattern just because you have to know how to work with mesh. Once you got mesh down, this is a piece of cake. This goes together so quick. You can change it up any way you would like. You can even like put like a bottom on there. I wonder how that would look. I'm gonna have to try that. So I definitely am gonna be making a ton of these because they were very quick to make. They're actually pretty cheap to make since you're not using any hardware. I think the most expensive thing on this bag is probably my vinyl and then webbing being a close second. The mesh itself is not that expensive depending on where you get it. I do think that using the by Annie webbing is a lot, not webbing, mesh. Do you think using the by Annie mesh goes a lot quicker and it glides over your sewing machine much easier? Speak English words. Much easier than my like kind of fabricy cotton mesh that I got from like Walmart. I don't even know how long ago I got that. But yeah, I think this is a quick project. It was easy to make. It came together so nice. Doesn't use a lot of hardware, doesn't take a lot of material, and the material it does use, not really that expensive. So, hey. Yeah, I think it's perfect. I think it's great for beach days. It's great for the upcoming season, and I'm very excited to make a lot more of these. I do have a lot more mesh, so I'm gonna put it to good use. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that this is a bag that you do try to make. If so, please let me know. I want to see what you guys do. I want to see if you guys do any adjustments, you guys change anything, do something different with the lining, if you like how I have my lining, if you like how I have the binding. I want to see what you guys do. I am also going to be putting in the description my measurements and examples of how you can adjust this. Just because I didn't use a pattern and I kind of just wung this, I do have to say it came out pretty good for me just winging it and making stuff up as I made my first one. So, hey, go me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the videos. I like talking with you guys, so if you want to leave a comment, like, subscribe, the whole YouTuber thing, yeah, go for it. Hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you next time.